Hello, it's Going to Ground with me, Andrew Rumsey, and I'm in a favourite spot for these little films beside the River Kennet. Many Going to Grounds have been filmed here over the last couple of years, and I'm on the footbridge not far from our house beside the dashing A4 breakfast time traffic, and yet this is a little place of tranquility. And before the day's work begins, I'm just reflecting on all that I hope for this coming season and offering it to God, entrusting it to Him, placing into His hands the things that I will only fret and agonize over. And that's always a good thing to do. It's a releasing, peaceful thing to do. And I've been looking back as well as forward, and particularly over the Lambeth conference this summer, which is I'm just going to sit down, a major once in a blue moon conference for all the Anglican bishops in the world. So we gather. The last gathering was 2008, and this one was delayed by the pandemic, and so we came together in Canterbury, went to Lambeth Palace for some of the, one of the days, but mainly we're at Canterbury University and at the cathedral. I've written about it on my blog, actually, my WordPress blog, which you can have a read of. But one of the challenges, I think, for me was arriving and seeing myself as part of this huge group of over 600 bishops. It was this sea of purple, and I held back from wearing my collar and my cross for a few days because, and I'm sure you can, some of you can relate to this in either in church life or in other fields, that there's always a balance between one's individual identity and the communities and associations to which one belongs. And the question, am I part of this? Do I see myself as one of them? And there's something rather proud and probably rebellious and individualistic in me that wants to say, no, I'm different to you lot, which is arrogance, really. But also there is a natural fear of having to carry with you the views, the corporate life of others with whom you may disagree about many things. This is what being part of an organisation is like, particularly part of a church. I think those in political parties experience it as well. Immediately you badge yourself, I am an Anglican, I am a Conservative, or I am whatever it is. You then have to speak for and are associated with all the other thousands of people who also bear that label. That can be really testing for us, can't it? I've always found that as a Christian at school, you have to justify what Christians might be doing in another part of the world or culture, from televangelists to the Pope, neither of whom you may feel you have much in common with. And that prevents many of us to be reticent about joining, about being part of a wider group that we fear we'll get lost in, somehow we'll lose our identity. I think I've said before in Going to Ground that actually that was the fear when becoming a Christian, but actually on making that commitment as a teenager and at successive points over the years, including when I became a bishop, I have found myself instead of lost myself in that. And yet at the same time, one still is aware of being a representative of something far wider than myself. The cost of not doing that is really severe, I think. And so many of us in our Western individualist culture do this. We don't associate ourselves with any tradition or party or faith group, or because of our deeply held need for freedom and individualism. But the danger there is that we cut ourselves off from the very things that can nurture us. We cut ourselves off from belonging, particularly, especially. We cut ourselves off from a tradition of thought and belief that we can inhabit and work out by inhabiting. It's like a home that you dwell in, and you work out how to live there with all of its quirks and odd corners and inconvenient parts. I was thinking as I walked over here about our house and what's good about our house and what's really annoying about our house. You know, everywhere you live has got some things that just don't work. Our house has got a tiny amount of parking and heads straight out onto this busy road and is inconvenient and dangerous from that point of view. And yet we're working out how to live within that and are grateful for its many blessings. And there's something about that with the faith tradition as well. You work out, you belong within certain confines, and you explore and ask questions and make changes within that tradition from the inside. It's extremely difficult to do so from without. And left on one's own, we yes have perhaps a greater degree of individual liberty. We don't have to answer for anybody but ourselves. But there's a kind of lostness, a kind of detachedness about that. I would suggest a kind of rootlessness, because faith and belief traditions, political traditions, are rooted in time and place. And in order to belong, we need to belong to those who have gone before us in our situation and find our way using maps that have already been written. That's my thought for today. There's more that we could say about that. And throughout the course of the conference, I did find that to be the case. And by the end of the fortnight, I was proud and happy to think, yes, I am part of you and you are part of me. God bless you, friends, today as you go to ground.